coronavirus and why it's important for field workers to understand, the symptoms and to understand how it spreads and ultimately what practices they need to follow at the field level. So coronavirus is a respiratory virus and it is primarily spread from person to person contact. It can also be spread potentially through the contact with a contaminated surface and through the aerosol transmission of droplets when you cough, sneeze, or exhale. And these droplets can stay in the air up to 3 hours. Most contagious this disease is most contagious when patients are symptomatic, but can be spread through before the symptoms appear. Incubation period is 2 to 14 days following the exposure to a surface or someone with coronavirus. At this point, there is no effective vaccine or a specific antiviral treatment for COVID-19. This virus has definitely changed the way we do things at the farm. So let's talk about what we need to do before we start the workday and hygiene practices to prevent the spread of COVID-19 among field workers. Number 1, it's important to inform your supervisor if you have a fever, cough, or shortness of breath. And if that's the case, self-isolate immediately. Fever symptoms often include chills and body aches. Only healthy workers need to work to protect everyone's health. Number 2, leave your phones with your personal belongings and check them only during breaks. Phones must be sanitized before and after use. Do not use each other's phones. Number 3, upon arrival to the farm, wash your hands thoroughly using running water and soap for at least 30 seconds. Then sanitize your hands with an antimicrobial foam or gel. It is important to remember the steps in hand washing because this is really critical to prevent the spread of COVID-19, especially if someone is already might have the virus or someone might have the virus. So what are the steps to hand washing? You wet your hands, you add soap to the hands, you rub your hands and get the front, the back, between the fingers and under the nails. You rub your hands for at least 30 seconds. You rinse your hands. You dry your hands with a single-use paper towel. You throw away that paper towel in a trash can with a lid, and use the hand sanitizer on dry hands if you feel you need extra level of disinfection for COVID-19. Throughout the day, wash and sanitize your hands anytime before you start work, after going to the bathroom, after taking a rest or meal break prior to re-entering the field, after each instance of using a tissue to contain and wipe after sneezing or coughing, and anytime you suspect your hands may have been contaminated. And last but not least, before you put on gloves, if that's what you need to do for your work. If you are wearing gloves or personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, make sure that your hands and clothing are clean before you put on those gloves or that PPE, such as an apron. Gloves and PPE also need to be disposed per your supervisor's instructions. Do not wipe your hands on the clothing after removing your gloves, but immediately go to the station for hand washing. It's also important to remember to use tissues and towels only once and dispose of them in a covered trash receptacle. Number 7, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth at all times. Number 8, limit physical contact and interactions with staff with each other. Do not hug or shake hands or co-workers' hands. When possible, remain at least 6 feet apart from one another. And we know that's not always possible, but be aware that that is really important. Number 9, do not use other employees' tools or harvesting equipment if possible. Tools and equipment must be cleaned and sanitized before each shift, frequently throughout the day and at the end of the shift. We have talked about recognizing symptoms of illness, keeping your personal belongings in a safe place, using, cleaning, and disinfecting cell phones, hand washing times when you should wash your hands, the importance of hand washing, the importance of not touching your face, and the importance of continually cleaning and disinfecting tools and equipment that you might be using. This wraps up like the employee advice. However, there are also other important reminders. Farm management is responsible for establishing and maintaining a cleaning and disinfection schedule for bathrooms and hand washing stations so that these areas are clean and are clean as needed. Number 10. Bathrooms and hand washing facilities must be cleaned and sanitized in the morning, frequently throughout the day, and at the end of the shift. Make sure they remain well stocked and sanitary. If not, immediately inform your supervisor. For routine cleaning of food contact surfaces, only use approved sanitizer solutions, especially if you are, again, sanitizing a food contact surface. Number 12. Limit access to the farm to only essential staff and inform external service providers, such as crop management and pest control advisors or contract harvesters.